Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Dynamic Dojo Show with Restita and Robert, your source for martial arts talk radio.
3, 2, 1, we're live.
Well, hello, listeners. Happy New Year. Welcome to Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio with Restita and Robert. It's January 4th, 2015, and it's going to take me a while to get used to saying 2015. And I'm joined here by my co-host, Robert Deahl. How you doing, Sifu Bob?
I'm doing really well. You know, I thought about it this week, Rusty. I've got 2 questions for you.
What's that?
Do you know what they call 2 consecutive days of rain in Seattle?
What do they call 2 consecutive days of rain in Seattle? No, we just call it a regular day, but what do you call it?
It's actually called a weekend. And do you know what daylight savings time means in Seattle?
No, I don't.
1 more hour of rain.
Oh, my God.
So this week, it was actually funny. I guess I'd stepped in some gunk, and you've been to my house. You know, it's hardwood floors, and I guess I left a trail from the front door to the bathroom. And my wife is like looking at me, going, "I just cleaned up a trail from the front door to the bathroom." And without missing a beat, I said, "Sure, you know, I just wanted to find my way back." And she said, "Next time, use breadcrumbs." And I, you know, as a proud father of a very bright young lady, I've got to say, my daughter scored 1,800 on her PSATs.
What?
And that's not even, that score doesn't even really count. That's just to prepare for the SATs. So now she knows where to study.
Whoa, well, right on. That's cool.
That was very cool.
Well, you know, I'd like to bring on Michelle's mic. We are joined, listeners, by a special guest co-host. So joining us right now is Kumu Lua Michelle Manu. Michelle, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Really good. Thanks for joining us as a guest co-host again. We always love you having you on as a guest co-host. Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. I love it, too. And you know, the listeners don't know that before the show, my mic is muted, and Bob was throwing insults, and he couldn't hear any of my responses.
You know, I thought about clicking on your mic, and I went, no.
Yeah, it was for Bob's safety.
Yeah, exactly. It's for listener safety. But then again, we weren't on the air. But
that's
right
true,
on.
But my phone needs therapy after hearing all of what it just heard.
Right? Oh, my goodness. You know, sometimes, listeners, the green room is the place where we just kind of, like, let loose and stuff like that. And sometimes you think the show is crazy. Sometimes you gotta listen to what goes on in the green room. Oh,
so
my
you know
goodness.
it.
Yeah. Well, listeners, our phone number here, listeners, is 347-677-0699. We also have a chat board on the Blog Talk Radio show marquee. So if you find this show on Facebook, just click it and, click underneath it, because if you actually click the picture itself, it'll play in Facebook. Click underneath it to actually link to Blog Talk Radio, and you'll find our marquee. Scroll underneath, and you've got our chat board. So if you don't want to have fun and call us, you can actually talk to us on our chat board. And if you have any questions for either one of us, Bob or Kumu Michelle, or our upcoming guest here at about 6:30, Justin Harvey, you can just write your questions there. But, you know, it's better to call. It's a lot of fun. it is a little bit past 6:30. It's about almost 6:40. Let's do this real quick. Let's take a really quick 3.5-minute break. And when we come back, we are going to have successful podcast or radio personality Justin Harvey joining us. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back after this.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent, 1 in 260,000. The odds of him having 15 career NASCAR victories, 1 in 1.7 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You know, a lot of kids in my neighborhood have really bullied me.
There's these teenagers around my neighborhood who sometimes just ride around us on their bikes calling us swear words and, like, throwing stuff at us.
He grabbed my jacket just to get in line first, and he was running after me. And then he grabbed me by the hood, and I started choking. I wasn't doing anything. He called me gay because he didn't like me.
Bullying is wrong because it, hurts people's feelings, and it makes you feel bad about yourself.
It can make someone feel uncomfortable and scare them and make them not want to go back to school.
It lowers your self-esteem. And it doesn't just always hurt on the outside. It also hurts on the inside.
But do you know what I say when he's bothering me? I say, don't do that.
If you don't stop, then I'll go tell the teacher.
Stop.
Could you please not do that anymore?
Just stop.
Stop bullying. This is not cool.
Hi, folks. This is Restita DeJesus of Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio. And I just want to send a shout-out to a good friend of the Dynamic Dojo Show, Mr. Justin Harvey. Now, Justin's got 2 big passions in the world, and those are radio and martial arts. A student of Frank Dux, Justin is a true student of the arts. Now, Justin has cerebral palsy, but that doesn't stop him at all. In fact, if somebody says that something can't be done, Justin will just get out there and do it, no matter what. He's the host of the Justin Harvey Show and has had guests such as Cynthia Rothrock, Frank Dux, Ernie Reyes Sr. and Jr., Eric Lee, and many more. The Justin Harvey Show is syndicated on iTunes, so what are you waiting for? Go check it out.
Hi, this is Frank Dux.
This is Joe Douglas Wong.
Hi, this is Kumu Lua Michelle Manu, and you're listening to Rosita and Bob on the Dynamic Dojo Radio Show.
The only place to be to get the real scoop on the real things that are going on in the martial arts world.
Do you have an idea for a guest or a topic that you'd like to hear on the Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio Show? If you do, you can email your suggestions and ideas to dynamic-dojo-radio-host@gmail.com, or you can also post it on the Dynamic Dojo Facebook page.
You're listening to the Dynamic Dojo Show with Restita and Robert, your source for martial arts talk radio.
Right, and we are back. If you're just now tuning in, this is Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio with Restita and Robert and special guest co-host Michelle Manu. Our phone number here is 347-677-0699. So give us a call if you'd like to talk to our guest, Justin Harvey, or to me, or Bob, or Michelle. We also have a chat board on our Blog Talk Radio show marquee, so feel free to type your questions in there if you don't want to call us. But you know what? If you don't want to spend on the long distance, there's a little blue button on the Blog Talk Radio show marquee. That's for Skype. So if you have Skype, click on that. It'll take you to Skype, and you can call us toll-free. No long-distance charges. How cool is that? So give us a call. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the mic over to Michelle, who will introduce our special guest.
Yes, I'd love to introduce Justin Harvey to you, who's calling in to be with us today from West Virginia. Justin's passions are martial arts and radio. His show, The Justin Harvey Show, also known as the J-Ray Radio, features some of the greatest martial arts actors and just martial artists of all times. Whether it's Don the Dragon Wilson, Ernie Reyes Sr. and Jr., Stan Bush, Cynthia Rothrock, and countless others, his show delivers top-notch interviews and is an important podcast in the world of martial arts. I mean, amazingly, he was just voted #1 podcast for 2014 and is now working to broadcast with iHeartRadio. His show has received national recognition, and he'll be inducted into the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame this coming April. So I also wanted to mention that I am looking very forward to interviewing him personally on the Masters Hall of Fame World News in the spring, live from the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame. So it's my pleasure to introduce you now to my new friend, all of our friends, Justin Harvey. Welcome, Justin.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Right on.
How is everybody
You're going to get a
tonight?
bunch of applause here. Yay! Okay. that was our peanut gallery there, Justin. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And you are busy. I was talking to Justin like at midnight last night, and it's 3 a.m. something his time. And before I shut the computer off, I'm like, wow, Justin, you're up late.
I'm up all hours of the night. I mean, I'm that dedicated to my Facebook following and my radio show following. That's how serious I am about my radio show. You know, there is no sleep for the wise, as I like to say.
That's true. That's true. Like there have been times where me and Bob, when we're actually in the same room together, like when I go and visit over there, we'll be up until like all hours of the night just talking show stuff. And then we realize it's like, oh, my God, Bob, I need to go to bed. It's like 4. Oh, my God. But right on. Well, you know, one thing that we like to do to kick off any interview is to get to know our guests a little bit about their martial art background. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about how you got into martial arts and what arts you've chosen and, you know, and why martial arts?
Okay, well, my martial arts passion, I'll start there first. My martial arts passion started when I was actually 3 years old. Because when I was 3 years old, I was watching movies like Bloodsport and Kickboxer at 3 years old. That's how long I wanted to meet Grandmaster Frank Dux. And that actually came about, I'd say, back in 2009, that had happened. And he had took me as a student in Dukes Rue, and I'm also considering expanding to White Tiger Martial Arts, which, if you're not familiar with that, you have grandmasters like Grandmaster Jim Thomas and Superfoot Bill Wallace.
Right on. Very cool. Now,
cool.
did you experiment with any martial arts before you met Grandmaster Dukes?
Actually, I always had the passion for it, but no, because where I live in a very small, populated place, there's not a lot of options. So.
Oh, right on. Now, how did you contact Grandmaster Frank about studying with him? Did you just send him an email? Did you call him? How did that work?
Actually, it's a pretty funny story, and let me tell you, it wasn't an easy job. My search started on MySpace, and I went through like 100-some people because they had like fake Frank Dukes pages on there, and I found him on MySpace, and like the year before, I had found a mutual friend of ours who gave me his cell number, and I talked to him on the phone, and he remembered me a year later, and that's sort of how it came into play. And then I found a charity that actually helped and paid for Frank to come in to personally meet me.
Wow. Right
awesome.
on.
So
how cool is
it's
that?
It's been a long journey. So
it has. Oh, my goodness. That is so awesome. Very cool.
Now, Justin, you said you live in a very small town. What type of martial arts do they have where you are?
There's like a small martial arts place out at our mall. Like, you know, you got like the mall. But I'm going to check out and see what they've got. But they don't have very many options as far as martial arts is concerned. So, and, you know, and you do have these places that will not take on the challenge of teaching someone that is disabled, too. So
very true.
It is true.
So that, yeah, that makes it even more difficult. So basically, I just broke the doors down my own way. You know,
there you go. That's right. Very cool. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, it's like, you know, this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on this show is because, you know, like I said in the promo during the break, you know, you just go out there and you do it, man. You just go out there and you bust down doors and you do anything you set your mind to. And, you know, for many of us, you know, that would be considered by other people as able-bodied, you know, a lot of people don't have that drive and that passion, and that's what I admire about you. It's just it's just amazing, and you know, thank God that you're around, because when you were born, you really weren't, you know, slated to live by the doctors. You're a miracle baby.
Yeah, I wasn't even supposed to have lived, and they said, the doctor told my mother if I was going to live that I was just going to be a vegetable, that, you know, she should put me in, like, you know, an institution. And she said, no, he's mine, he's coming home with me, you know.
Right on, Mom. Right on, Mom.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, Justin, you know, I know you're a martial artist, like you know, all three of us here, but you've also been a pro wrestling champion.
I want to hear about this.
Yes, me
too.
It's
just amazing with you know, you say you have a disability and you're a bit, you know, it's difficult for you and you're challenged. I don't know, it would be too intrusive to ask you exactly how you accomplish that. I mean, if you don't have use of certain limbs, whether it's in martial arts and also in your pro wrestling championship, how did you accomplish that?
Well, I actually go to a camp every year that's for disabled individuals, and I became a counselor last year at this same campground, and a small promotion comes and does a free wrestling show, and one of my good friends that's disabled, me and him's very competitive against each other, and he's like, I could beat you in a wrestling match, and this and that, I'm bigger than you, and I'm like, oh yeah, so I talked to the promoter, and he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you two in the ring, and we're going to have a championship match. So that's how it came to play.
That's awesome! Oh my goodness! That's awesome. Now, just out of curiosity,
how did you win, though?
Yeah.
My first match, it lasted 7 minutes long, and I won by pinfall. And my last and final match, it was a 30-minute match. I wasn't up to par, so it was a draw because I actually have a hernia, and when I had that, you know, hernia can be very damaging, and I still went in there and competed, but I didn't lose my title.
Oh, awesome.
Good.
Very cool. I know. Yay.
Like Grandmaster Frank Dux. So,
yeah. That's so awesome. Oh my goodness. Now, just for our listeners, you said that you had attended a camp for disabled individuals. What's the name of the camp?
It's called the Elks Camp. The Elks Association sponsored the camp.
Oh, okay. I'll do some research on it.
And since I'm more mobile than a lot of them, they made me a counselor last year because I actually help physically feed some of the kids whatever they need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they made me staff last year, and that was a very proud moment for me.
Aww, very good.
That is so
very cool.
Oh my goodness, pro wrestling champ. Oh my goodness. So you know how okay, I have to ask. You know, when I was in high school and college, I was pretty big with like pro wrestling. I used to follow it a lot. You know, my dad loved it, so he used to take us to big time wrestling over here when they had Superfly Jimmy Snuka and Playboy Buddy Rose and all those people before they went to WWF. Did you have a name? Did you have a wrestling name?
Back then I called myself JT Foley because Mick Foley was my favorite all-time wrestling superstar.
Right on.
Very cool.
And since you're a wrestling fan, I got to mention one of my good friends that loves my podcast is Bruce Hart, the brother of Bret and Owen Hart. Yes, I had him on my show last night.
How cool is that? That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Right on. The Hart Foundation. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Right on. Very cool. Okay, well, I'll do some research about the Elks and the camps that they have for disabled individuals, and put that up for viewing on our page. All right, Bob.
That'd be great.
And let's bring the mic over to Bob. Bob, do you have any questions for Justin?
Yeah, Justin, like ourselves, you do your own radio show, martial arts based. What got you interested in doing radio and doing podcasts?
Very interesting question, Bob. Let me try to give you the short version of that. I've always, because sometimes my answers can be very detailed. When I was a young child, I've always wanted to be on radio, and I contacted my favorite radio station around here, and I actually, when I was in high school, my senior year, I did some job shadowing, and I wanted a job with them, but some of them didn't think that I could do radio. I don't know if it's because of my disability or my situation, but when somebody tells me that I can't do something, I go out and do it. I may not do it the way I want to do it, but I find a way to do it. So that's kind of what got me into podcasting and starting my own show.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome. You know, I hope some of my young students are listening, because it's kind of like, and I'm sure as martial arts instructors, Michelle and Bob, you know how this goes. You know, when people just get that look like, I can't, or this is wonky, I can't do it, or this is too hard, or they get that feeling of, I'm going to give up this class, that kind of thing. It just makes you just crazy, doesn't it? And when I talk to people like Justin, it just makes me want to tell those kids, suck it up,
That's right. That's right.
Oh my goodness, Justin, you are an inspiration to all of us, and man, oh man, to have that kind of energy, because I remember when I was able to stay up until 3 a.m. That hasn't happened in 15 years.
Oh.
Yeah, we can still remember the days when we could drink until 5 in the morning and then still go to work at 8.
No,
That's
it's
right.
true. I remember those days. That's right.
I remember those days, and nowadays it's like a beer, take me home. It
made me tired.
I
wish you were still like Wolverine and had the regenerative powers,
Yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, Justin, you, like what Rosita just said, being so inspirational, would you talk a little bit about your work with the March of Dimes?
Yes.
Oh, yes, if I can remember that far back, honey, because it was like when I was a little child. But because
that's when it started.
Okay, well, what I would do for several years, I was the ambassador for the March of Dimes when I was, a little kid, and I would even do public speaking in front of, many, many people. So I did that for several years. So it's not like I get nervous in front of crowds, So it just adds to the trade, as I like to call it. So it was a good experience. So
right on.
Oh, very good. Now I'm interested, Justin. One time you were actually in a band. What instrument did you play?
Well, I did drums, and I did vocals on a few songs. Here's the interesting part, Bob, that I think that you're going to love. I actually set it a mission of mine to re-record Fight to Survive and On My Own Alone from Bloodsport, and that's what I did.
Whoa!
Awesome.
Where do we find that MP3? Where do we find that MP3?
I tell you what, I will send you a copy. Send you a copy. So,
very cool. That would be awesome. Right on. Oh, my goodness. So listeners out there.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, I was going to give our listeners our phone number again. Listeners, our phone number here is 347-677-0699. If you'd like to call in and speak with Mr. Justin Harvey. He's the host of the syndicated podcast show, The Justin Harvey Show, all about martial arts and in its practice and interviews with great martial arts celebrities and practitioners. Give us a call. Let's give you that number again, 347-677-0699. Yay. Now, let's kick back a little bit and talk a little bit more about your study with Mr. Frank Dux. Now, you said you started studying in around 2009. Is that correct?
Well, I actually met him in 2009, and
okay.
I actually first, got to learn with him physically at his home. I think it was the summer before last. He, he trained me for about a week at his home. It was awesome.
Wow.
So, I had to do acupuncture and all kinds of stuff. Stick work, and it was a lot of hard work, but in the end, it was worth it. So. Very cool. Very cool. Now,
do you presently carry a rank, or I'm not familiar with how Grandmaster Frank does that? Does he even do ranking at all, or how does that work?
I don't want to really, talk about my rank right now because it's kind of on the ups and downs a little bit. But I think here soon he's going to bump me up to his black belt in his system. But,
right on. Right on.
Yeah, I don't want to step on any toes or say something that I'm not supposed to. So.
Yeah. That's understandable. Yeah, that's understandable. Thank you for that. But what's your favorite aspect of studying the arts?
Oh wow.
We have a whole hour, buddy. You can go into as much detail as you want.
That one is a very tough question. I think I like, the discipline about it, the old style. You know what I mean? It's like, versus MMA. I have nothing against MMA, but, when it comes to my martial arts, I believe in the old etiquette. Honor and respect.
Yeah.
So that's what really draws me. It's the spirit of it. That's what draws me to it.
Very cool.
Justin, would you talk a little bit about your desire to fight Kumite? Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. That one's an easy one. Because, believe it or not, I was 4 years old at the time, and I used to look at my brothers all the time, and I'd say, I'm going to fight in Kumite like Frank Dux. That was my ultimate goal. That's what I wanted to do. So if I ever got contacted to this day to fight in the Kumite, in my condition as I'm in, I would fight in the Kumite. If I got called today. I would love to do like a Kumite for the disabled.
And I'm surprised that there isn't. You know what I mean? I mean, even in open tournaments like the NBL and the SKITA and stuff like that, the national governing bodies of sport tournaments and stuff, divisions for the handy-capable, as I call it, divisions for the handy-capable are few and far between. And I definitely think that should change. And I think that, divisions for handy-capable people should be in there. Kumite as well as kata. And oh my goodness, and Bob, if we have to make Justin the poster boy to make that happen nationwide, let's do it. I mean, you're Justin, you're right. If the Kumite, does say, hey, Justin, you're going to fight in the Kumite, we'll be behind you 100%. I'll find a way to fly down and stand behind you with the banner.
I'll hold the other end. Restita,
she'll hold the other end. I don't
we'll
have
the girls.
Yeah, that's right.
Justin girls, that's right.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, definitely. See, I've taught people with several types of disabilities, everything from cerebral palsy to severe autism to you name it. And when it comes to tournaments, boy, I tell you what, they want to go and they want to compete. And one of my students, actually, who was born with cleft palate and clubfoot and only one arm, she actually managed to get in there because, and it kind of pissed me off why they let her in. They let her in only because she was able to walk in on her own 2 feet. That was it. If she was in on a wheelchair, they probably wouldn't have let her in. And I was like, oh my gosh. And when she took that second place trophy for being her first tournament,
excellent.
I said to myself, why isn't there divisions for handy-capable people? Or why won't they let handy-capable people compete alongside, everybody else? What? Why doesn't that happen? And, and I'm sure there are tournaments out there that do have handy-capable divisions. So I'm not saying that all tournaments are, discriminatory. I'm not even saying that tournaments are discriminatory. I know that there are some tournaments that have these divisions, but, but even so, why not just have them compete with everybody else? Why does there have to be a separate division? So anyway. Gosh, I just put myself on a bandwagon. Sorry.
Go ahead, Restita.
Well,
I'm going to run with it.
Well, it is your show, so it is your show.
It's also a very good topic.
It is. It is. I would love to see Justin compete in a kumite. I would love to see Justin fighting. Yeah. I mean, to prove that he can do anything he wants to. It doesn't matter. Definitely.
He needs to prove it.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. God, where do I have to go to get this started?
I love it.
We'll have to start a campaign and see how many people we can get behind this and see if we can't, make something possibly.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's do it. Right on. Now, let's jump off that bandwagon.
And on to
another bandwagon. That's right. The USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame. Justin, you've been nominated to be in the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame for 2015, and that's going on in April of this year. Wow, tell us about your nomination. Who nominated you?
Okay, and I got to say it first here, I'm very honored to be in the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and I realize that there's, martial arts masters that have been studying the arts for years, and, I respect that, and, I was sitting here at home one day, and I got a call from a good friend of mine. His name is Master Todd Summers. He's with the White Tiger Martial Arts as well, and the Superfoot systems as well. And he called me up and he said, you're doing a great job on your show, and he's like, I got some good news for you. And I'm like, what's that? He said, we don't normally do this 6 months in advance, but we want you to be here for this event. You have been nominated by me for the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and it's gone through. And I paused for a second. I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, can I just record what you said?
It's a joke. It's a telemarketer.
That's funny.
Yeah, because I just couldn't believe it, because to me, that moment, I felt like champion of the world. To be inducted with so many great grandmasters. So I'm happy and excited, and I want to tell your listeners right now that may be attending the event, if you want to personally meet me, take photos, whatever you need, be there in April.
Right on. Now, where is it? Where is it this year? Because it was in Seattle last year. Where is it this year?
It's going to be in Indianapolis. So,
right
and Michelle Manu is going to be there. So,
right on.
I will be there. I know. I'm very excited. It initially turned out to me finding talking to, of course, the promoters and the board of the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame, try to find a quiet corner, if that's possible, in a very busy hotel where there's seminars going on during the day, and then, of course, the awards induction ceremony and dinner in the evening. And I just asked, is there a small, quiet corner where I can kind of hold an interview with Justin Harvey? And it turned out that they're going to give me a space to do that. And so it's
awesome.
Turning out. Yeah, I know. It's so wonderful. So, it's hard with Justin, to ask him to travel. And he doesn't travel very much because he has to have help. And, I figure Indianapolis is much closer to Southern California than West Virginia. So it's my hope, to make it there and to feature Justin as a guest on the Masters Hall of Fame World News. I think that's going to be an interview that the audience will really, really get a lot out of. And might be something that, students might even watch and say, you know what, I've been kind of sniveling and I'm being a little bit of a brat. And if this guy can do all of this, I can surely, reach green belt, whatever it is they're putting off. Yeah, they might get that wind in their sail then. If they meet Justin and see Justin and hear Justin's story, it's very important. So, yeah, I am pretty excited to meet him there in April.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Pictures. Lots of pictures.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All righty, I'm going to turn the mic over to Bob.
And why would you do that?
What? Why not? Because I can.
You're like, have you ever noticed when you're eating dinner at a restaurant, the only time that the waiters and waitresses ask you if everything's okay is when you have a mouthful of food. Right?
That means you have a mouthful of food right now, or
no? It means that my notes poured up. I wasn't prepared.
It's pretty dangerous to have Bob on the mic anyway. So, why do you do that?
I know. Yeah, it was funny, and I've got tears in my eyes right now when Rusty, you're going to have to help me out, was inducted into the Women's Martial Arts Instructors Hall of Fame about, 2 years ago?
Beginning of last year, yeah.
Oh, it's just last year. Well, I wrote this letter, and they agreed to read it at the time of the ceremony, and I wrote some stuff down, and I typed it out, and I knew that would tell her who it was. My next line was, now you'll notice a look of terror come over Restita's face because she doesn't know what's ever going to come out of my mouth.
It's so
which
true.
happened because the way that Kim Ivey, the president of the Association of Women's Martial Arts Instructors, she was reading this, and I had just taken a picture with some people, and I was actually tweeting it, right? And then she started to read this. She's like, I have a letter for one of our nominees, for one of our honorees, and he started to read it. I had no clue, right? Because, I was kind of like half listening, that it was about me. Had no clue, and I forgot what she said that made it obvious that it was it was you writing about me. And I looked over at Carrie Maleo, who's the vice president, and she grabbed my hand and goes, "Yep, it's about you." And I looked at her horrified. And right after that, the second I looked at Carrie and just went, Kim goes, and now Rusty's got a look of sheer terror on her face because, and then she read the whole thing. That was a very sweet letter, Bob. Thank you. Well, it was quite a surprise too. It was quite a surprise. I was like,
wonderful. Well, Bob behaved himself for once. My goodness,
it was just the right amount of humor.
And you know what my wife said about the letter? She told me you should write a small snippet right at the end. Finish the damn book.
Right? Right? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do need to finish the damn book.
That's part of my... Justin, because we're off topic. Justin, what are your plans for 2015? What are your interview plans? Your radio show? Mm-hmm. What are you doing this year?
Okay. Well, one thing that I can tell you, you know that Cynthia Rothrock and Don the Dragon Wilson are going to be in a film called The Martial Arts Kid. Yes.
Right. Yes. We know about it. We've been marketing it too. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually planning on really, really plugging that this year and helping them out get the word out about the film. Good. Let's do it together because me and Bob and Michelle have been really plugging the show, really plugging the movie, and we've had several of the cast members on, as well as James and Dawn and some of the cast members and stuff. So yeah, let's do it because does anyone know when it's going to be released? I haven't heard yet.
Spring this year.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe March or something. Maybe
exactly.
Even sooner than that.
Wow, we don't have much time. Let's get the word out, man. Let's do it. Let's do it again.
Oh yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, that's another great movie to look for, folks, listeners out there. The Martial Arts Kid. And it's been a long time since a movie like this has come out. I mean, they had the, Karate Kid or the Kung Fu Kid with, Jaden Smith and stuff like that. But it's, it's been about 5 years, I think. It's time for a fresh, brand new movie with a different message. And
and I think a timely message, a current one of bullying. I think that's the main theme, which wasn't the real main theme of the Karate Kid, but of course was a huge element of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, let's market it. So yes, the Martial Arts Kid listeners, Google it. Check Cynthia Rothrock and Don the Dragon Wilson are on there. Hamid Larizi and the Young Dragon Larizi. The whole 9 yards, a bunch of people on there, a great cast of people. Go check it out. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
also, Justin, can you talk a little bit about your audio book, which Cynthia and Dawn will also be helping you on?
Oh,
I know these are some of your plans for 2015. So if we'd talk a little bit about that, that'd be awesome.
Well, actually, they're not helping on the audio book, dear. You're a little confused. So I'll break it down for you.
Good.
I'm trying to get...
I'm not even drinking and I'm confused. Okay.
Okay. What I'm currently working on right now, I'm trying to get on iHeartRadio because that's a really huge platform and it'll give me more options to do more things with the show. Well, I was talking to Cynthia Rothrock today about my cause, and she actually posted on her Facebook, please help my friend out, Justin Harvey, get, a few more likes, and she's really trying to help me push this.
Awesome.
So that's what that's about, Michelle. So.
Oh, good. But you are trying to do an audio book soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm actually. What I would like to do now, I'll debut this on y'all's show. Here's what I would like to do, which I need to go through the proper channels to do so. But I would love to turn some of my best martial arts interviews into an audio book.
Mm-hmm.
And
very cool.
And really get it out there,
Mm-hmm.
So,
very
to
cool.
magazines and to the consumers of the martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these martial arts masters that I've had on my show, they're not in the spotlight per se, but they need to be back in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what are they doing now type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very cool.
It's just an idea that I'm playing with. So.
Awesome.
Very cool. Now, I think we briefly got into a couple questions ago about your other plans for 2015 as far as people that you might want to get on your show this year. Who are some people that you want to get on your show this year?
Okay, for the past 2 years, I have been talking to Paul Herzog, and if you don't know who Paul Herzog is, he is the one who wrote music for Bloodsport and Kickboxer.
Oh, cool.
And he's actually agreed to come on my show. I'm just waiting for some final things that he has to do before he comes on the show. So, and I may have UFC fighter Sarah McMahon come back on the show. She was a real pleasure to interview. And I know that James Wilson will be on the show. I got him the other day, so he said he's down for it. So I'm working on a lot of people. So
very cool. Sounds like a pretty exciting year for you.
Oh yeah, and I'd like to mention to y'all that one of the interviews that I've always wanted to do, but unfortunately we'll never have the opportunity, is to interview David Carradine. Because I loved Kung Fu, and I love Kung Fu, The Legend Continues. So.
Yeah, I remember watching the original series when the episodes were new, and just thinking that's what actually got me into martial arts. I wanted to learn Kung Fu. Bless his memory. David Carradine was sure a pioneer in his own right for the proliferation of martial arts. Oh my goodness. Well, what about Justin? I mean, since we're talking, Dukes-Ryu and the Kumite, have you thought about Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that is my ultimate goal for 2015, because I've wanted to interview him for many, many years, because I basically, with the exception of probably one person, I've had all of the cast of Kickboxer featured on my show.
Oh, you just need one more person.
Yep.
You just need one more person. That would be so cool. That would. If there's anything that we can do to help you get Jean-Claude on there for you, let us know. I don't know him personally. Does anybody else? I don't know him. Bob, I'm like a bajillion connections.
I'm working
Michelle's
on
got
it.
connections. Yeah, Michelle's got connections too.
That's a couple.
Yeah, I even tried writing his wife Gladys on my Facebook page, but I don't think she ever saw my message. So, but I did try to write Gladys. So.
Well, Jean-Claude's moving back to the U.S. In next. Well, actually, it's this month. So I have a contact that's waiting to ask timely Jean-Claude for an interview with Justin, or if he is unable to do that, maybe just like a tag. You know, he's listening to the Justin Harvey Show. So working on it. But you know, Hollywood and how even Jean-Claude can be quite difficult is his reputation. So it's the timing and the delivery. So my contact has everything, so it's just about the right timing of when they ask. So just have to have faith in that.
Right.
Well, I know it'll happen eventually, because in reality, like when I got Don the Dragon Wilson booked, it actually took me 3 years to get him booked.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Well, let me tell you a story about that. We got Don very quickly because, you know, I knew James, and I actually ran into James at the Martial Arts History Museum and said, let's do this. And it fell on, now Rusty wasn't on the show that day. She ended up calling in, but she wasn't there. It was, you were in Oregon at a seminar.
Yeah.
It was Super Bowl weekend, right?
Yeah.
He never watched the Super Bowl. That day, he decided to watch the Super Bowl.
Oh.
I couldn't get a hold of him. I'm Facebooking James going, where's your brother? And I was freaking out.
But, I mean, you know, Don was a real pleasure, though. I mean, he was real cool. He recorded a promo for the show, and you know, and he actually, what's funny is he actually called my cell phone, and I missed his call, and he left me a voicemail, and I'm actually trying to figure out how to get the voicemail off my phone so I can store it, you know. So.
Oh, that would be awesome. Cool, yeah. He's a great guy.
There's a way to do it.
The Masters Hall of Fame. I know there's got to be a way to do it, to pull it off.
There is. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that, because I actually had to record some stuff from a voicemail. That's a long story. Let's just say I had to record it for proof, and I managed to do it and clean it up, but I'll have to remember, because it was like 5 years ago. So if I figure that out, Justin, I'll PM you and let you know how to grab it off your phone, so that way it's good material.
That would be great.
Yeah. I'll work on that after we get off the show. But right on. I had a question. It was in my head, and I completely shoot.
Was it about Jean-Claude?
Well, no, because I was going to say that, you know, how, like you said it, you know, how Hollywood is, you know, actors are hard to get a hold of.
Well, you know, Rusty, you mentioned that, you know, I tried to get, as our very first guest over 2 years ago, I tried to get T-Mac from The Last Dragon. I had his email. I'd met him before, and I had to go through his publicity guys and his, oh my God, it was a nightmare. And then he contacts me the Saturday before the show, and he says, okay, what time's the show? And I said, I'm sorry, you took too long, I'm booked.
Right.
Go screw yourself. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And Rusty knows when somebody gives me attitude though like that, Rusty knows me. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
He gave me literally 12 hours to put the show together around him, and we'd already scheduled the late Lindsay Largusa to do our show.
Yeah, and you know, it was a good choice to have good old Lindsay on, because unfortunately, like 3 days later, he had passed on. So we were his last.
I will never regret that decision. Ever.
Clearly, you're convicted. I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. Confidence and conviction.
Justin,
yeah. Well,
you know what, Bob? Your wife needs to pour a glass of cold water over your head right about now.
Or a good beer.
Yeah. With a funnel.
Maybe he needs to do the ice bucket challenge. What do you think?
There you go.
Yeah,
ice bucket challenge.
Michelle did it. I did it. You should have done it.
Rusty, did you do the polar bear plunge? You crazy as shit.
No, I did not.
I didn't do it this year.
I did not do it this year. We had class New Year's Eve, and I went home, and I just said, screw it. I had dinner. I had a big ribs dinner, and I was on Facebook for a while wishing people on the other side of the world a Happy New Year, and I was just going to sit there and watch the Space Needle blow up, and that was my thing, and I went to bed, and I went to bed and didn't wake up until 10.
Right on.
And that was my me time. Yeah, so I didn't do the polar bear plunge. No.
Now, Justin, do you have that on your side of the country since it gets so cold over there? These crazy people that decide to jump into the Atlantic.
We've got crazy people here, but you got to watch what you do. I mean, where I live, you got to understand. Where I live, you got horses and you got cows and you got farms. It's not like a big city, so.
Right.
Well, I want to rewind a little bit because Bob, you were getting pretty bitter about, a guest that you spent hours preparing for and then just didn't show. Justin, have you ever had a guest that agreed to be on your show? You did all the preliminary work, had the discussions, were all ready to go, and they just didn't show, or did they back out at the last minute? Have you encountered that at all with your show?
Actually, I've had something similar to that, actually. Yes, I have. So,
can you give us a little bit of an example of what that situation was like and how it made you feel?
Oh, okay, well, I won't mention any names, but this person, I will say this person is very popular because of the original Power Ranger series.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he advocates on his pages that he helps out children and this and that, and I'm like thinking, oh great, it'll be great to advertise him, on my show, and then, like he told me last year that he was booked up and this and that, and I wrote him several times, and then he's like, write this person and I'll do your show. And then he's like, I'm booked up this year, but if you write me first thing at the beginning of the year, I'll make sure and get you booked. Well, I did that, and absolutely no word at all.
Wow.
So, I hate to say this, but I absolutely question this person's character because I've done everything in my power to get him on the show, and I'm like, hey, just, give me 5 minutes, 5 minutes. That's all I ask.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's like this person just keeps giving me the runaround. So,
yeah. Me and Bob go through that a lot. And, after a while, we just kind of go, screw it. Yeah. We're just going to have somebody else on that. Shoulder shrug, hands up in the air, and we just get someone else on, and it's always a fun show.
I have one, and Rusty knows about him, that he asked to be on the show.
Will you please stop yelling?
No, I left his voicemails. I emailed him, and he wouldn't respond. And he personally asked me to have him on the show.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. And now we can't get a hold of him.
Right. Wow. And we've had people that we've called on for the show when they're supposed to be on, we couldn't get a hold of them. Now, those are few and far between, but we have had those kind of people.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, they'll never be on the show again. I won't even ask them.
Yeah, because to me, if you don't want to do my show, tell me you don't want to do my show. Don't be disrespectful, wasting my time.
Exactly.
Exactly. Common courtesy.
It is. And I mean, I kind of, a lot of celebrities, I kind of give sort of a pass. Because, they're busy and stuff like that. And, we do have to go through their people, Have your people contact my people. What? Really? You can't talk to me for 5 minutes? what? So I give them a pass, and that, a lot of times, that you do have to go through their people because of, I don't know, this, that, or the other, and, security, that kind of thing. But, I do agree with you, Justin, that, if you can't do it, just say so. Or if you don't even want to do it, just say, you know what, I can't do it. Simple. That way you can move on.
Exactly. I mean, it would have been a great interview, but, I'm not sweating it because the way I see it, I've already bypassed this person. I mean, I've had, great grandmasters of the trade. And this guy's only known because of a series that he was on. That's the only reason he's known. So.
Right. Yeah, me and Bob have had discussions about that before.
Oh, geez. The Masters? Are we back on the Masters topic again? Sorry.
No, we're back on the topic of people that still think that they're part of the silver screen. And anyhow, okay. Justin, what was your funnest interview? I'm sure you've had plenty, but what's one that sticks out of your mind? As far as being your
funnest interview?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Master Ken. That was a ball.
Honestly, that was the funnest we did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was off the charts. Wow.
That one was cool. Now, was he Master Ken for your whole interview?
Yeah, he was Master Ken the whole interview because, he's like, I have heard of your show, and, I love your show, but I'd like to discredit all the guests that you've had until now, but all these other guys are bullshit, and here I am, die laughing,
Me and Bob couldn't handle it anymore.
We just said, okay, it's time for Matt now to come out, but Rusty and I just before... That week before he was on, we did a soundbite where we both were in sync and we said, Ameridote's bullshit.
Oh, my God.
It was funny. We played it.
We for, the hip thrust. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny. We played it for him, and he thought it was like do I still have it? Oh, here we go. Let's see.
Ameridote's bullshit.
And he was at this year's Masters Hall of Fame, and we didn't make it instrumental, but we actually tried to get a bunch of tables to say Ameridote's bullshit all at the same time when he was introduced. Never happened.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Oh, well, his whole skit was hilarious. I was crying. It was hilarious.
I was too. Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. My gosh. So, yeah, Master Ken, definitely. I was going to ask about another category of interview, and it left, educational. Which would you think would be the most, educational, outside of asking, how normally we would ask celebrities, like, how did you get started in martial arts? What did you find, the most interesting working on this set or that? Normally, you ask those kind of questions, but sometimes you have guests that will actually teach like really deep stuff without actually teaching. So, have you ever had like educational interviews with anybody?
One name that sticks out in my mind is Grandmaster Vic Moore. Now, that guy is a very wise man. You sit and listen to him, and he will teach you lessons that you never even thought you would learn. I mean, honestly, he is very
wow. Very cool. Now, Justin, do you also do subject interviews?
Can you rephrase that?
Yeah, I need to. It didn't come out the way I wanted to.
Yeah, discussion topics.
Do you do shows on certain topics, women in the martial arts, MMA, things like that, other than just guests, or is that how your show is surrounded by just guest interviews?
Well, see, I started, like, at the end of the year, I started doing, like, subject because that's why I had, Cynthia Rothrock and Sarah McMahon in mind, because I wanted to shine the light on female martial artists. So yes, I'm starting to do that as we speak.
Cool.
Well, very nice.
Well, I have a quick question. Justin, you're about ready to hit your 100th podcast, which is that's so monumental. And I was wondering, what podcast are you on right now, and who is slated to be guests up to 99, 100?
Well, I'd tell you who I would love to have for my 100th episode, which I'm trying to get in contact with them. Kerry Tagawa, who was Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat series.
Oh, we can get that for you.
You mean Kerry Ogawa Wong?
We can help you with that.
Is that who you mean? Do you mean Kerry Ogawa Wong?
Kerry Tagawa.
I think you mean somebody else.
No, he's right. It's Kerry
Tagawa. Hiroki Tagawa.
Yeah, that Kerry with a Cary. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. He was also in Kickboxer 2 and a couple Disney films as well.
Yeah,
so you're trying to get that for your 100th?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to push that one. I don't know how that one's going to go, but that would be great for a 100th episode.
That would be the great Shang Tsung. That'll be cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I wanted to mention too, if I can mention this too, I don't only do martial arts. I also throw a little bit of technology in my shows. I use a program called Dragon Naturally Speaking, which what it is you speak to your computer and the words type out for you. Well, I've had the vice president of the company on my show on several occasions, so I advocate for Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Oh, cool.
Oh, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Awesome. That's cool.
So I like to change it up a little bit, and a little bit of pro wrestling mixed in,
I haven't been keeping up with pro wrestling, going on a decade now. I mean, I did hear the last I heard, I think the last time I had heard anything that I chose to hear about with pro wrestling was when I forgot which one of the Hart brothers passed away. He fell
Owen Hart.
It was Owen. He fell off of the scaffolding, and and I was like, what?
Yeah. That was back in 99 over the years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that was so I guess it's been since then, since I've been keeping up with pro wrestling. But my mom still watches it. Sometimes I'll come home and, and I'll see it on TV. And I think oh my gosh, my dad was such a fan. It was. My dad was such a fan. And my sister and I would get we would throw popcorn at the bad guys. It was so cool. And we kept up with, every personality here in the Pacific Northwest when big time wrestling was around. And then all of them went to WWF. And we were like, wow, cool. So, of course, we had to keep up with that. And then I just stopped, at the turn of the century. It was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, so sometimes I do like to mix my shows, and I hope that my martial arts following doesn't mind that, because sometimes it's good to give them a little bit of a variety. And I think that's why my people love my shows, because they're like, what will Mr. Harvey do next?
Exactly. Exactly. Because, I listen to other podcast shows, there's there are like a lot of MMA shows, out there, and they're I'm not gonna like categorize them, but like many martial arts shows are strictly interview, cut and dry, strictly interview, or they go into MMA's better and everything else sucks, and that kind of thing, and it's true, Justin. I mean, where you're going with your show and your format, it's perfect. It's it's exactly what the martial arts community, as a community, not as a niche type thing, but as a community, it's what it needs, and that's why me and Bob got into it. We wanted to give something back to the community as opposed to being a niche. And there's not very many of these shows around, and I had posted on Facebook yesterday that shows like yours and ours, Justin, we have to stick together because there's not many of us, and and to just continue to work together to give back to the community the way that you are, that we are, and just give back, because I'm done with the niche community thing. You know what I mean? I'm done with being
right.
Oh, absolutely. And with my show, you know how some people, they're at each other's throats, this martial artist isn't like that martial artist. Well, when you're on my show, all that crap is put to the side long enough to have a good product show, because everybody has a story. Everybody does. So
exactly.
And I think that's why a lot of my fans really respond to that, because I don't belong to a certain clique. So,
exactly.
Well, I think that we're all
the martial arts.
Yeah, and that community is supporting you entirely, and I think it's not a place, doesn't replace your brother and your best friend, but I think that, we are here to support you, and we all support each other in Dynamic Dojo or the Justin Harvey Show or any other shows. I mean, if they're uplifting and truly enriching the community, but it doesn't replace your brother. But he said to you, keep doing your show. You're good at it. And is that something that comes to mind when you're planning the next show or when you're on the air? When you feel you're human too. I mean, those moments where you might feel less motivated than you normally are. I mean, how often do you think of those words that your brother has said to you?
I think of those words quite often, because here's the thing. Everybody, everybody's human, and everybody goes through depression and slumps in their life, and I had gotten to where I had quit doing my shows, and my brother, came up to me one day, and he's like, you need to start doing your shows again. He's like, I'll listen, you're good at it. He says, that's your thing, you're really good at it. And, a few weeks later, he had passed away. So to me, with me keeping this show going, I'm honoring his memory. So
that's beautiful.
I'm keeping his spirit alive.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, what do you think your brother would say about all of this amazingness, acclaim that you're receiving with the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame and being on Dynamic Dojo and being #1 podcast for 2014 and being on the Masters Hall of Fame World News? What do you think your brother would say to you right now?
I think he'd say, I knew you could do it, see you could do it, and he would be thrilled to actually know that I actually personally know the one and only Tom Poe from the Kickboxer series. He did the Tom Poe cheers watching Kickboxer all the time as kids. so he'd be very proud.
I have a message here from Rob Davidson, and Justin, he wants you to know that you're doing a great job.
Right on.
Oh, speaking of Rob, I'm actually going to have him on the show plugging a movie he's making at the moment. So he's going to be on in 2015.
Excellent. Rob's a great guy.
Very cool.
And
that's
Michelle,
awesome.
when I talk to him, he thinks very highly of you too. So, just so you know.
Oh, thank you. No, I adore Rob. So, yeah, that's great.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, we're getting into the last 5 or so minutes of our broadcast. So, Michelle and Bob, do you have any last questions for Justin before I ask him a last question?
No, please go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have people of all ages that listen to our show, and I know some young ones too. And do you have any advice for the young ones for their martial arts, or for what if they want to get into radio or any other type of broadcasting, TV? What type of advice would you give to the young people out there about following their dreams?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say, go for it. If it's something that you want to do, go for it, and and stay away from drugs and stuff, because that stuff will, stop you from doing what you want to do. And education is very important. So
yeah,
very cool. Awesome. You hear that, kids?
Yeah.
Here's the kids. Stay at school. Darn it.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs. And yeah, awesome. Well, we're going to have to end the broadcast. And it just so happens that when we're ending the broadcast, people get on the chat board.
Oh, wow.
Of course.
What did it say?
Oh, Miss Pretty, I think that's a bot, Rusty. Don't worry about that one.
Yeah.
They've been on before.
Yeah, they've been on before, and nothing really happens. And I don't know, Miss Pretty, if you're listening, go ahead and type something into the chat board. Thanks for joining us. Dynamic Dojo Talk Radio. And nothing. Well, anyway.
Okay.
Justin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule for joining us. And Michelle, as always, thank you for being a wonderful guest co-host. It's always a pleasure to have you on. It's always so much fun.
No, thanks for having me. I love it. And I'm really honored to be here with Justin as the guest. So thank you for asking.
My pleasure. All right. And thank you, too, Bob, always. Thank you always for being one of the best co-hosts that anyone can ever have. You're just so awesome. And not tune in, but go ahead and check the Dynamic Dojo Facebook page throughout the week for more news and tidbits. Next week, Sunday, the 11th at 6 p.m., we're going to have Grandmaster Bram Frank of Derobio Eskrima joining us. Did I get that right? I think it's Derobio Eskrima.
Yes,
so he'll be joining us. He'll be talking a little bit about Eskrima, some books that he's in, and also his knife designs. He designs knives, so it'll be very cool. Awesome. Cool. So until then, everyone, have a great evening, and we'll see everyone next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.